why should you consider moving PeopleSoft to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure? And this is very specific, as you can see in the header slide here. We're not talking about why PeopleSoft to cloud. We're specifically talking about why PeopleSoft to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and why should you consider that? What are the benefits? What should you expect going into that solution, and how you can be successful in executing that solution. So let's talk about some business drivers in moving to cloud. I mean, every customer has their unique set of challenges, their unique combination of in-house infrastructure, maybe some outsourced services. Some of you may be hosted by a third party. Some of you may or may not have formal service level agreements internally within your teams. Some of you may or may not have the right kinds of security tools and models in place, but every customer is unique, right? Now, but the drivers to cloud are similar across most customers for the following reasons. One is obsolescence. So all of those customers who are currently operating either on-prem within their own data centers, or even in a hosting or colo facility, whatever you signed up for, whatever you implemented when you implemented PeopleSoft, you are pretty much stuck with that hardware solution until you decide when to refresh your hardware and get the next best hardware that's available to you. So as a result, many of you have aging infrastructure. You have obviously high upfront capital investments in hardware. You have to maintain and support those assets. So you'll have some vendor maintenance contracts, you'll have in-house IT teams, all of those overheads associated with that. And then the life cycle of maintaining those on-prem solutions becomes burdensome and also costly for a lot of customers. The second thing is agility. Customers always talk to us about how it takes a long time for them to do some basic tasks, provisioning a new VM, getting the database installed on it, installing PeopleSoft, getting the latest PUM image installed and released to users as soon as it is available at the quarterly release cycle that Oracle has put together, staying current with PeopleSoft updates, with database upgrades, and so on. All of these are challenges that we hear from customers, and as a result, this has become a key business driver also. Customers are looking for cloud as a way to solve these problems and give them the agility that they've always sought. Vulnerability, security threats. We hear about this in the news all the time. Every day there's something in the news about some breach, and most of us know that the breaches don't always have to be external. There can be internal threats as well. I often survey customers when I go to conferences or do some small workshops with smaller groups of customers. And one of the first things that I like to ask customers is, how many of you have your current Oracle database encrypted? Very few hands go up in response to that question. And that's always surprising to me. In this day and age, knowing that security and encryption is very important, the majority of PeopleSoft customers today do not have databases encrypted, whether that's data at rest or in motion. As a result, you are opening the door for some security threats, violations, and in addition to all that, there's obviously business level compliance. So GDPR is the top of mind agenda for a lot of international businesses that operate in the US and in international countries. Healthcare companies have HIPAA to deal with. Customers managing financial transactions and including customer and vendor transactions at PCI DSS. So security is always a very important aspect and a key business driver. And then the last one, of course, is cost. I mean, cost, I put that in the end not because it is not prioritized or not important, but this happens to be a baseline across all other criteria. Customers are always looking to reduce costs. IT budgets are not really going up year on year. CIOs surveyed are telling us that they're being asked to do more with less and so on. At the same time, you still have to keep up with business demands. There's new applications, there's new features that they want. You cannot say no to that. So the bottom line is that customers truly want to get out of the data center business. Whether you ask the CIO's organization or you speak to the stakeholders on the HR side or the finance side, they do not believe that they should be in the business of managing hardware and software. They all want to focus on their core business, whether it is staffing or providing insurance services or healthcare, and leave the commoditized data center management, infrastructure management, and app management services to experts who can do it better than in-house teams. So some of the advantages. So now that we've explained what some of the key business drivers are, let's talk about how you can benefit by moving PeopleSoft to cloud, assuming that you are able to successfully convince your management that these business drivers are valid and these are important to tackle today and not defer to a later time. The first thing is speed of deployment. So we spoke about agility. Speed of deployment, when you look at it from a tactical standpoint for PeopleSoft, what's important for customers is that they want to be able to provision PeopleSoft applications as automatically as they can. Customers have challenges when they work with checklists and they go through manual processes. Those are error-prone, they're time-consuming, and there are always competing priorities. So your PS admin or your systems administrator and your DBA are not just sitting around waiting for an instruction to deploy a new instance. They're doing 10 or 20 different things, and oftentimes instance deployment does not get prioritized. What you should be getting on cloud, which you can get today and which has been available for a while now, is true one-click provisioning of an entire PeopleSoft stack. And the reason I'm saying, not just saying PeopleSoft instance, but the entire stack is, as we all know, PeopleSoft requires a database, it requires a middle tier for application server, a web tier, a process scheduler, a Windows server, and a search instance and things like that. You have the ability on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure today with tools like Terraform and Cloud Manager to really push a button or send over a script and have that entirely built, not just vanilla instances, but even instances that are customized to your footprint, your database copies, your application code. Those can truly be automated, and you can push buttons on a console and have those instances deployed. Huge benefit for customers. I've seen customers who are fairly sophisticated in-house where they can bring up a stack like this in 24 hours, but the majority of customers I've spoken to, for them it takes anywhere from a week to 6 weeks to get all of this deployed. The larger the institution or organization, the more complex the internal processes. PeopleSoft upgrade. So why do you need upgrade automation? You need that because if you're on 9.2, you're dealing with selective adoption, however you're dealing with it today. You have to stay current with PUM updates, with PeopleTools patches. 8.57 just came out on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I'm sure many of you want to get your hands on it. How are you going to do that? You can actually do that completely automatically on cloud. If you had a PeopleSoft instance running on 8.55 or 8.56 on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure today using Cloud Manager, you can point to that instance and say, upgrade tools to 8.57. It's as simple as that. All of the automation behind the scenes for taking that instance, applying the change of system templates, applying all the upgrade tasks is taken care of for you, and a new instance is brought up. So the power of automation is certainly available to you on cloud, not on-prem, not in a hosted environment. Similarly, at the database level, if you use Oracle Database Cloud Service, database patching is automated. The patch is presented to you for the instance, and you can click on it, apply it. It applies it automatically, and it saves you time and makes it more consistent. So now imagine if you have to do that across 10, 20, 100 database instances, PeopleSoft and non-PeopleSoft Oracle databases. DBaaS gives you the capability to automate that. Operational costs. Everybody wants to reduce costs and do more with less, as I was saying earlier. You don't have to have any upfront investment in hardware. So you get away from all of that high upfront capital cost investment on-prem, all the maintenance for the hardware and software that comes along with that, and instead you go to a subscription-based model. You truly pay only for what you consume. You can control when you want to run an instance, which means that if it's not running, you're not going to pay for it. If it's running, you're going to pay for it. So you can get very granular with how much you want to spend and when. Higher performance. Again, this is because Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is running on the Oracle engineered system stack. So you have high performant hardware. You have the ability to go to virtual machine technology. If you want dedicated instances, no noisy neighbors, you can go to bare metal. You have dense I/O for higher performance, and you still have the ability to scale further up if you want to go into Exadata and other high capacity, high performance options. But bottom line, how does that affect PeopleSoft? Let's say you want to scale up your infrastructure to meet your monthly payroll or weekly payroll or biweekly payroll, or you're running large batch windows for which you need additional capacity, you can manage that very proactively on cloud and dedicate performance to the areas where you really need performance, and as a result, improve your overall application. Security, again, is paramount. It's very important for customers. One of the things that some of you may be thinking about while I'm presenting this is, hey, is cloud really secure? When it's running in-house, I control security. I can give access to the people that I want to have access to my data and restrict others. The bottom line is cloud is as secure, and I can tell you from my experience that it is more secure than what you have on-prem in most cases. And the reason why I'm saying that is, as I was saying, database encryption was an example that I called out earlier. As you move to cloud, you have the ability to automatically deploy TDE, or transparent database encryption, using Oracle Database Cloud Service. That now encrypts your data at rest and also encrypts all of your database backups. The entire security for anything that you deploy on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, from the network layer on up all the way to the application layer, is still under the customer's control. You are not relinquishing control. You still have control. But you're taking advantage of the fact that now Oracle's investing in a number of audits, SOC, PCI, HIPAA, ISO, and so on, and routinely verifying that its infrastructure and data centers are compliant with that. That takes the overhead away from you, and you just utilize those services instead. Right? So those are the advantages. Now, one thing that I want to point out is there are many clouds that you can use. There's obviously AWS, which is the market leader. Azure's catching up really fast. Google's a player. There are some smaller players as well. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is purpose-built to run Oracle PeopleSoft applications. And what I mean by that is you have automation at the infrastructure level, at the platform level, in this case database for PeopleSoft, and at the application level. We have tools like Cloud Manager, and that combination is not available for you on AWS or Azure or any other cloud provider. Needless to say, you're not going to get those capabilities on-prem or in a hosted environment. So the fact that it is purpose-built, Oracle not only has the cloud infrastructure team, but also the PeopleSoft application team. There's a lot of collaboration behind the scenes to make sure that these workloads move efficiently to cloud infrastructure, to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and run efficiently and can take advantage of all the automation capabilities that are available for customers. Here are some common use cases for cloud. I mean, there's so many things that you do with PeopleSoft applications today. It's not just restricted to a few things, but these are the things that we've found to be the most common use cases for PeopleSoft on OCI. PeopleSoft DR on OCI. The reason I put this up first as opposed to second or third is primarily because this is a non-disruptive solution, i.e. you don't have to shut down production, move it, make any changes to it in order to turn on DR on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. It's very easy to set up, very easy to procure, and compared to what many customers have on-prem, where if you have a standby instance and a secondary data center, most likely it's a mirrored copy of your production stack, which means that you're paying for a full production copy at the full PeopleSoft stack, whether you're using it or not. The second challenge that we find with customers running on-prem DR is they're telling us they have DR, they've deployed it a while back, but they don't have an effective way to test it because testing DR is very challenging. Cloud gives you the ability to streamline both of those. You can start with a very small footprint for your standby instance. Setting up DR itself is almost automated within the cloud infrastructure itself at the database level. And once that's up and running, it's easy for you to test it and scale the workload up to full production capacity in the event a disaster takes place, right? So all of that can be simulated and tested very easily. Second thing, selective adoption. So selective adoption to many customers means many different things. For some of you, it is applying PUM updates. For some of you, it is PUM updates and patches and fixes. For many of you, it's that and also deploying new features. But regardless, you need access to the latest People Tools capabilities, the latest PUM images, the ability to spin up multiple dev test instances to try out some features, to prototype new solutions. And cloud gives you the ability to do that faster, cheaper, and better than any other competitive solution, whether you compare it with on-prem or hosting or OCI versus other cloud providers. So then upgrade. So whether you're doing a get current update, for those of you who are on 9.2, you may be looking at a People Tools upgrade in the next 12 to 18 months with 8.5.7, or you may be looking at, you may have gone live on, say, PUM 12 or 16 or something like that, and you've not applied PUM images since then. So now you're looking at a get current project where you can get caught up with the latest PUM images, not just for fixes, but new features and everything. Those tend to become mini quote-unquote projects themselves, but cloud has a way to accelerate that. You can deploy faster, you can test faster, and you can tear down and rebuild as per your project needs without having to maintain a massive infrastructure footprint for the entire project. If you wanted to do performance testing, it's easy to take a copy of your production system and spin up a production copy on cloud and give it additional horsepower to simulate 1,000 concurrent users or large batch workloads, which when you compare that with on-prem, it's very difficult to do. Either you have to go procure hardware for that and set it up and build it out, or you may not be able to do that at all. So cloud gives you the ability to quickly spin up and scale up the capacity and performance of those load testing or stress testing instances, and then you can tear them down or terminate them once you're done with your test cycles.